My name's Isaac, better known as IzzyTheBricky. This week, me and Drew took on one of the most ambitious projects to date, where we started restoring and repointing with traditional tools this house, what was built in the 1900s. You're watching episode 4 of IzzyTheBricky Weekly. Monday morning, and we're on a totally different job. Myself and Drew and a couple of lads got on all of the steel ridge beams on Saturday on the mansion build. The joiner's got to be there this week, hopefully putting on all of his roof timbers. Today, myself and Drew, and probably for the next week, are working on a repointing job. We're going to be repointing this beautiful old house. So what's happened, someone's come along and they've put sand and cement mortar over a lot of the bricks. So what me and Drew are going to be doing, we're going to be pulling out all of the old sand and cement as well as the old lime mortar, so it doesn't look like a patch job. We're going to repoint the entire back of the house and the gable end. So right now we have a lot to do. As you can see, it's going to be dusty and slightly messy, so we'll catch up with you guys in a little bit. On this building, there is lovely old clay bricks, and this is what a lot of the old houses at the turn of the century were built out of. Along with the old clay bricks, they used to use lime mortar. Okay, nowadays we use harder bricks and sand and cement for a nice strong wall. Now, the problem is with using sand and cement on an old building like this, the clay bricks and the original lime mortar really are not designed for such a hard material. Now, there's a cycle what happens in countries where the weather drops below zero, and this is called the freeze-thaw cycle, and it's a mechanical process. Moisture such as rain penetrates the bricks and the lime. As rain freezes, it expands about 9%, so water expands about 9% when freezing occurs. As this expansion happens, the original lime can withstand this movement, okay? Because it's quite a durable material. However, people have already been on the job and they've put hard sand and cement in. Now, the issue with this is a problem called spalling. You can see this whole area here has been done with sand and cement, and only about 5 millimeters, maybe 10 millimeters of this brickwork has been done with sand and cement. However, because sand and cement is such a strong material, it's like iron, when that freeze-thaw cycle happens, the water can't expand. So therefore, it ends up damaging all of the bricks like you've seen. And this is called spalling. And this is why we're going to be raking out all of the old lime mortar and this sand and cement, which is damaging these bricks, so this doesn't happen again. Scenes. We've made pretty decent progress on the back of the house. There's a lot of cables and a lot of things in our way, so we're just taking our time to work carefully around them. However, it's very dusty, very noisy, and in all fairness, there's not too much to say until we start pointing up. So we're going to carry on cracking on. It's not the best job in the world, but positive attitude and a smile, we'll get there, won't we, Drew?
Yeah, man.
Right. Let's get back to it.
Oh my God, man.
Not happy. Not happy. And we're off to the gym. Barely any filming done today. We had to crack on. There was so much to do, so much dust, so much noise. We just focused and cracked on. We ended up doing about a quarter of the back of the house. Doesn't sound like much, but the old, well, I should say the new sand and cement someone's put in, it's like iron. And trying to get that out and not damage the bricks is time consuming, and you have to be delicate. But overall we did make all right progress. Tomorrow I'm going to do a lot more filming. We'll speak about some of the tools we're using, what we're doing, and all those sort of bits and bobs. Anyway, for now, off to the gym. Catch you tomorrow morning. We've just turned up on the job, haven't we, Drew?
Yeah, man.
How do you feel about today?
Very, I don't know whether to be honest.
Not looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to it, Drew?
Not really.
It's just gone 12 o'clock. We've hit the halfway mark on the back of the house. It's going quite well, slow and somewhat tedious. Yesterday I spoke about some of the tools we were using. So this is, we're using 4-inch grinders. For the main runs, we're using this blade because it's got about a 30mm cutting depth, which is perfect. Drew's following me along with this tool, okay? This is called well, you're referring to it as a devil's tooth. It's actually called a mortar rake. This is fantastic, just for getting in really small, tight areas and things like that. On the long straight runs, when I'm not using the ladder, we are using a dust extractor connected to a wall chaser. However, I've not actually got the wall chaser out yet today, but we will be later. When it comes to PPE, when we're doing a job like this, it's really important. Health and safety on a job like this is so important. So me and Drew both are wearing these masks, which are absolutely fantastic. 99.95% of all dust particles are caught with these. We've got some decent goggles and also some pretty decent ear defenders, because obviously dusty and loud, so you do want to protect yourself. Some of the sand and cement mix is still on the bricks, and then this is where our small little mattock comes in. Come in close, Drew, because this is the most tedious part ever. That is what we're doing, just going round any bricks with sand and cement on and getting them all off like that. So it is time consuming. I reckon we're going to be here a bit longer than a week. But you know, it's what it is. We're going to do a really good job and we're going to crack on. Day 2, done. All of the joints here are all taken back. We've finished most of our returns. I actually need to go get a special tool for the multi-tool to get these dead thin bits tomorrow, because the beds are quite thin. If I use a disc blade, I'll end up losing half the brick. We don't want that. So we're after quality here, not quantity, because obviously this is such an old, lovely building. We're after a really good, sharp finish. Anyway, good progress made today. Tomorrow, tackling the gable again and these lower ends. Tomorrow, we will try and get some filming, won't we, Drew? Yeah. We'll try. Tomorrow morning. Wednesday afternoon. It's a good job I timestamp all these videos now, because I'm always wearing the same clothes on this job and we're always dusty. We've made fantastic progress this morning. I was on the ladder grinding out all of that top gable there, and as you can see, it is pretty much done. I know you guys should be thinking we should be using a scaffolding. However, this job kind of sprung upon me this week and I didn't really have time to organise scaffolding and things like that, hence why we're using the ladder. As you can see, just in the centre of the building, there is a structural crack all the way through. So what I'm going to recommend to the client is using some helix bar, and we're going to resin that in to stop any further cracking. Once that's resined in, we'll just point over it and then you won't even know it's there. So that's the plan of attack today. Rest of the grinding out done. Sort out some helix bar probably tomorrow, and then hopefully we'll be on the big point up. just gone 10 past 2 and me and Drew are having 5 minutes because we've not stopped all day. Now, this morning and this afternoon, we've made really decent progress. Unfortunately, the dust extractor has been having a few issues, so it was like kind of fighting a losing battle with that. So we decided just to leave it. Don't know what's up with it. Drew is working down there around these stone mullions. And yeah, all I've got to do now is a tiny bit behind me. And then I've just got to go round this lovely old original stonework really carefully. So we'll catch up in a little bit when I show you how I like to do that, and I'll go over some of the depths we're cutting at because I don't think I spoke about that yet. The depth we're cutting to is roughly a £2 coin. Now, I've spoken to a lot of lads who do this for a full-time job, repointing houses all over England. So the depth of a £2 coin is about, well, I know it is 28 millimeters. So we're trying to achieve this depth everywhere. So as you can see, if I slot a £2 coin in there, it's a bit dusty, but it slots in lovely. So that's the depth we're trying to achieve all over. As you can see there as well, 28 millimeters. So that's really decent. So that's the depth we're going to. So for the stone mullions, what we're doing, I'm just using my pick just to go around to take off this sand and cement mix, just so I can see exactly where the edge of the mullion is. So that's quite strong. You can see that that is our lime mortar. So all I'm doing, I'm chasing up the side of this really carefully, because what I don't want to do is end up cutting into this mullion, because that will look really obvious that it's been messed with. So a bit of time and care is taken around these just to make sure that we're not digging into this. There we go, 5 o'clock. Me and Drew have just wrapped up. We've done the clean up everywhere. We finished off all of the gable, all of downstairs. The job is looking fantastic right now. So what we're going to do tomorrow, we're going to probably get our lime mortar mix. So I need to go to MKM in the morning. I might even pop to an old yard what sells some bricks and things like that to get some replacement bricks. So a busy day tomorrow. We're going to get pointing, fingers crossed anyway. So we'll catch you in the morning because it's been a busy day and I want to shower. I'm smiling today because I'm in nice clean clothes, because we're not messing about with dust. Today we're going to be pointing in all of the new lime mortar. This morning I went to MKM, picked up all of my materials, and while I was there I actually bumped into one of my subscribers. Yes, we are at MKM early in the morning. I've bumped into all my subscribers. Yes, Jim, you all right, mate?
Sam, mate.
Yes. So yeah, that was quite nice to meet him. So right now, me and Drew are going to mix up. The thing with lime, it needs to mix for about 20 to 30 minutes before we start using it. And we're going to be using quite a dry mix. So I want it to be nice and combined and a bit like a putty. The ratio I'm going to be using is 1 part lime, 2 parts sharp sand, 2 parts yellow building sand. The sharp sand is going to give it some good strength and bring out all of the aggregate when we whack it with our chun brush. Anyway, we're going to do this, and then we are also going to hose down all of the brickwork to get away rest of the dust and just to get the bricks saturated so it's ready for pointing. Stand back. So at the moment we've got all of our materials with the correct ratio in the mixer. That's just slowly combining. I'm going to add a tiny bit of water, not much at all. We're going to leave that to mix for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, come back to it, add a little bit more water just so we get the right consistency. Right, there we go. We've just finished mixing up our mix. What we've gone for is quite a stiff mix. Basically, you want to be able to make just about a snowball in your hand and it kind of stay together, which it is just about doing. Been about an hour and a half since we've put about this section in. Right now we're working all the way down there. So what we're looking for is the mortar just to kind of crumble away like this without smearing the brick. So I'm just coming along, everything we've already done, giving it a scrape and getting the excess off. I'll be able to pick this stuff up and reuse it, so don't worry. Once I've done that, I'm giving it a push back with a bit of timber. Doesn't need to be anything crazy. Just pushing it into the joint a bit more to make sure we're compacted back. And then to bring out the aggregate and to finish the job nicely, we're just giving it a bit of a tap. The chun brush, this gets the lime mortar further back into the wall. So once we've packed everything back with the chun brush, just like that, just give it a gentle brush over, and as you can see, this looks absolutely fantastic in my opinion. And you know what, it matches the existing lime mortar pointing what's on this house. As you can see here, we've already started packing all of this back and just giving it a light brush, and you know what, it looks like it's been there for 100 years, and this is exactly what we're going for. It's going to be strong but not too strong, so we don't have any of the issues that spalling causes when you use sand and cement. So me and Drew are just wrapping up. It's gone about 4:10 right now, and I'm just giving these bricks a really light mist. So we mist the bricks before we start pointing, and then just after we wrap up for the night, I'm just giving them another light mist. This just makes sure that the lime mortar doesn't go off too quick and it's got time to cure nicely, because we don't want it cracking and dropping out, and if it dries too quick, that can easily happen. 6:30, and we're on the way to go get Drew. Last weekend, Drew crashed his motorbike. Well, I say he crashed it, he dropped it. He slid on some oil on the road, ended up bending the chassis and loads of things like that. Luckily, Drew was all right, and that's the most important thing, so that's really good. However, I'm back to picking him up, and he lives about half an hour away from me, so it's really out of my way. But we'll do anything for Drew, won't we? So I'm on the way to go get him. Then I need to run to Screwfix, get some resin so we can resin in that helix bar, so we can avoid any further structural cracking on the middle of the building and on that left hand side. And yeah, I'm hoping to get loads done today, so I'm going to try my hardest. Me and Drew are both going to try our hardest, like we always do. See how much we get done. So we'll catch up with you in a little bit. Let's go. Friday morning, just gone 10 o'clock. Me and Drew have hit the ground running today, sprinting. We're using the scaffolding because it gives us a lot more room to work, so we don't have to use the ladder. So far we have done quite a few square meters. Currently just working along this area, and we're just moving this little platform every time we are ready to do so. So we're going to crack on. Later on I'll explain how I'm using my hawk and my bar to get all the mortar in. Yes. As me and Drew were raking out this old building, we noticed that there were some structural cracks. As you can see here, brick snapped. These joints are getting bigger. So there has been some movement at some period of time. Not for some time, because if I look in the cracks, you can see cobwebs. So it's not moved for a while. However, it is important that we do our best to stop it moving further. Now, old buildings like this are prone to moving because it's not on a concrete footing. These old buildings are dug really deep. The brickwork is put straight on clay. It's corbelled in, and then the 9-inch wall goes up. What we're going to do to stop any further cracking is put in these helix bars. These are structurally designed to stitch a building together to stop any further cracking. Now, the spacings of these go every 300 mil. They're resined in, so we put resin in, put the bar in, resin on top, and then we point on top. So the spacings every 300 mil, and it goes in the middle of the crack. So I'll have one here, one there, one further up, and when we get onto the next lift, one more just there. Just put the first bead of resin in. Now we sink our helix bar into that resin. Okay, we're going to let it go off for a little bit, just so it's all in place. Just like that. There we go. That's lovely. So the first bar is in. Another bead of resin on top of this, and then we're going to point over it, and then this should therefore stop any further cracking on this lovely old building. So we've really got to take our time and make sure things like this are done correctly. Otherwise, more movement could occur. Although it doesn't look like it will, because this is an old crack, but we'll always do our due diligence to make sure that a job we are doing is done correctly. A few of you might be wondering why I've not used a gun or a mortar bag. However, I have done that once in the past. It was a lot messier, and I did get called out for it very, very aggressively by about 60,000 people. So just using the more traditional method, and with it being an aggregate mix, if I'm using a mortar bag or a gun, it's going to constantly get blocked up, and we are wanting to pack it back. With it being lime as well, if I was to have it as a slurry, it would take ages to go off, and we are trying to move this job along quite quickly. There we go. So me and Drew have wrapped up pretty much for the day. We're on the big clean up now. We still need to cover up the wall, but overall this week has gone pretty well. The grind out took a bit longer than I expected, but with the new sand and cement that had gone in, it was just like iron, so really hard to get through. However, I'm really pleased with the outcome, and yeah, I think we'll be here next week finishing off a few more bits and bobs, and we still have to do some brick replacements. But overall, it has been a good week and a challenging one. Yeah, lots of new experiences, and using lime for the first time has been an interesting learning curve, but one that I do want to do again. Just a side note, let me know in the comments below how much you would charge to do this entire job, 37 square meters. Anyway, thank you very much for watching Izzy the Bricky episode 4. We will catch you next week in episode 5. Half 5, and we are finally wrapping up and going home.